Hi, my name is Kristen Donahoe, and I'm the Alumni Engagement Director for THON 2025.
Hi, my name is Ashley Poskett, and I am the Alumni Campaigns Coordinator for THON 2025. And welcome to the second episode of the THONcast, Beyond 46 Hours. If this is your first time tuning in, the THONcast is a podcast that gives you the behind-the-scenes look into THON and all that we do. Our previous episode was on the background of THON and 4 Diamonds.
This episode, we will be discussing our 4 Diamonds families with our guest speaker, Keira Woods, who is a 4 Diamonds teen, and Sara Merrill, the lead social worker at Penn State Health Children's Hospital. Listen in and learn more about THON and our families.
4 Diamonds families are the children and families impacted by childhood cancer that are receiving care from Penn State Health Children's Hospital. Year-round, THON raises money and spreads awareness for these families. Since 4 Diamonds has been founded, they have helped over 4,800 children and families. So, what does it mean to be a 4 Diamonds family?
When a child is receiving cancer treatment from Penn State Health Children's Hospital, they can become a 4 Diamonds family, meaning that 100% of medical expenses not covered by insurance is covered by 4 Diamonds. From there, 4 Diamonds families are introduced to THON, where they are asked if they would like to be partnered with a student organization from Penn State, which is one of the over 300 organizations benefiting our mission. A family pairing with an organization means that they get the opportunity to connect and develop a deeper bond with that organization.
The bond between THON's organization and the children and families is a beautiful thing. The strong connections and friendships that the organizations form with the families are everlasting and truly amazing. The 4 Diamonds families are the core of THON. They remind us why we THON every day and why we continue to do what we do. Today, we would like to introduce you to one of our THON teens to speak more about her experiences. We are excited to introduce you to Keira Woods. So, hi, Keira, and welcome to the THONcast.
Thanks.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Awesome. So the first thing we want to ask you is to tell your story to the viewers.
Okay, so my name's Keira. I'm a freshman in Penn State, and I was diagnosed 2018, so right going into my first year of middle school, and I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia. It's pretty rare in children, and I had a lot of ups and downs. I have a double transcript, so 2 parts of the 9th and 22nd chromosome switched off in 2 places rather than just 1. So that caused some oral chemotherapies not to work. I couldn't go on the regular chemo through a port. So a lot of things to go through, but eventually I was able to meet with the head doctor. His name's Dr. Drucker out in Oregon. He developed the first TKI, targeted chemotherapy, and he doesn't really take on any patients, but he heard about me through the grapevine. And also my mom's probably my biggest advocate, so she rarely would do anything to get to the best person. So definitely she'd had a major part in that. And went out and saw him probably 8th grade, right before COVID hit in December, and then he agreed to work with me, but at that time I was at CHOP, and my doctor then did not want to work with anybody else. It was really much his way or the highway, which is fine. But he also wasn't a CML specialist, whereas Dr. Drucker is, and he developed the first TKI. And somehow Hershey called my mom asking how I was doing, whatnot, because originally they rejected me because they don't do CML. And it was Dr. Rao, and I was like, we're just looking for someone to work with Dr. Drucker. And she was like, and Dr. Rao was like, the guy, and mom's like, yeah, I guess so. And she's like, we'll work with him. And it was literally right before COVID started in 8th grade, and I've been in Hershey ever since. And wasn't a lot of smooth sailing throughout high school and whatnot. And eventually my cancer kept coming back, and we decided that a bone marrow transplant would be the best option. And so that started in my junior year, beginning of my junior year of high school. I did not want it. I was like, that is not what I want whatsoever. And I also I never lost my hair in the process. It may have thinned out, but I still had my natural hair. Loved it. It was nice and long. So I was like, there's no way I'm doing that as a junior in high school. Absolutely not. But then we tested my brother, because I have an older brother. He's 23. His name's Connor. and usually adult males have like better bone marrow, but he was only a 50% match, and then my sister was a 100% match. She's actually my like identical twin now, genetically speaking.
That's insane.
I know.
That's
She's
amazing.
a perfect. She was like, they test for 8 markers. There's 8 that they need, but they test for an additional 4. She was a perfect 12 out of 12,
Wow.
which is really rare. So she's definitely my twin. She like technically did save my life, so she likes to pull that card whenever she can. And then I had my transplant summer of 2023 before senior year of high school. Hated every minute of it, but I made some of literally the nurses there, my favorite people. They're the reason I want to go into nursing. I wrote my college entrance essay on my favorite nurse, Nicole, whose son is about to be a year old. I'm so happy for her. And they're the reason like I want to go into nursing. And now here I am just over a year out, and I'm pretty much, we think, I have my 6-month follow-up in January. I'm 100% Kendall, so that means the transplant was successful.
That's awesome.
So no cancer has been shown since the transplant, so say like I'm cancer-free. I have to wait 5 years to be technically cured, but so far so good.
And that's incredible to hear, honestly. And your story is truly incredible as well, just hearing all you went through, and even just like Kendall stepping in and really like coming in and helping you as well, and now her obviously having that against you.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes, of course. I love her for it though. She's truly
Awesome.
Obviously one of my favorite people. What is she? She's a junior in high school.
And then one thing I also want to ask is, I know you have a very close relationship with your paired organizations, and would you want to touch on that a little bit?
Of course, they are my favorite people. Alpha Gamma Rho and Phi Sigma Sigma. I couldn't have asked for a better paired organization. They are my best friends. I love them with my entire heart. They truly like just accept me for who I am, and they don't like look at me as like their THON child, but more so as a friend, because I am so close in age too with all of them, and I feel like I have a better relationship with them because of it. And I remember talking to one of the boys, because we were like, what's the dynamic going to be, as I'm a freshman here at Penn State, and Brendan Batavio, he was like, you don't have to worry about that. Yes, you are a THON child, but you're also our friend now. So that really helped me calm me down and whatnot, and really ease any anxiety I had. And then the girls are awesome. Oh my gosh, my friend Riley, she's a sophomore. She's on FR for Phi Sig. We're really close. I went and saw Jake Shane with her. Love him. So she's awesome. Everyone's awesome, and I couldn't have asked for really a better org than them.
That's incredible. It probably was so nice also coming into college and like having that group of like brothers and sisters literally right there for you.
They're literally my older brothers and sisters. Like home away from home.
Awesome.
They're just amazing people.
And that's incredible to hear, and it's like so happy that they like literally like you're one of their friends and stuff. Like it's just so incredible. And then also like just in general going into being a freshman at Penn State, how's your experience so far been at Penn State?
So far so good. Definitely had my moments, as any first year does. I'm a biobehavioral health major. I want to go to nursing school or PA school. I mean, I haven't really dove into my major yet. But the classes I'm taking, I love. I hate bio though. I'm so happy I'm done with that class. I love anatomy, just hate plan. I hate plans. So I'm done with that, thank God. But I love it. Football games, one of my best friends here, her name's also Keira.
Oh my gosh.
We met at orientation by just actually bumping into each other, and we stayed in contact over the summer. She is truly one of my lifelines here. I couldn't have asked for a better person to be like my friend. We're Keira squared, so it's even better. There's no me without her here. I love it here at the football games. I'm a big football fan, so I love it. I love football. Definitely get very hyper in the student section. My favorite game was probably Ohio State, but I also loved Kent State because my parents came up, and that was also the military appreciation game, and my dad was in the Navy, so
awesome.
That was special for him too.
That's awesome. And like I even know like one of my like just in general Penn State football is like unlike any other football too. And
the greatest show in college.
It literally is. And it's just like so incredible just like get the experience to be there. And then like what's been your favorite thing at Penn State so far? I know it's hard to choose.
It is. I always go with THON as my number one, but besides that, I would probably say just the people. I really don't know, just everything about it. I love like the big school atmosphere. You never know who you're going to see or meet, and even though it is such a big school, I see someone I know every single day. I mean, a lot of my friends from high school are here, so it's very nice. Yeah, I love it, but THON's definitely my top. That's probably like one of the biggest reasons I am here. Yeah, I love it.
That's incredible. And obviously I've heard that you were on an R&R committee this year.
Yes.
So why don't you talk a little bit about that and what you've loved about it so far?
Okay, my captain, her name's Abby. I couldn't have asked for a better captain. She is the most outgoing, unrealistic, most crazy person I've ever met, but she is the best. Yeah, she's one of a kind, but I love her. I love all the other members on my committee. But yeah, I love being on it. I'm excited for THON weekend because I've always been, or like the past two THONs, I've been a family. So I've been like on the floor most of the time. We've done like the family things with my family. But this time I've taken on a new role as being on, actually, as a Penn State student.
Exactly.
And I'm so excited. And I know like I'll see so many people. When I'm not on shift, I get to be with the org, see all my friends.
Exactly.
So it'll be so fun. I'm so excited for one of my favorite things at THON is Whiplash.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The dance team.
They are incredible.
I am obsessed with them. I'm their number one fan. I love them so much.
They're like incredible. Like all the performances in general, like they're insane. They're amazing. And like Whiplash especially, like I'm like I could never do what they do.
No,
like,
I did competitive cheer and like regular high school cheer. In high school, the dance was always my favorite part, and like band dances, but they take it to a whole new level.
Oh yeah.
So many kudos to them. I couldn't do what they do, but I love what they do.
Oh, exactly. And it's like incredible. And then going into THON weekend itself, what would you say is your favorite THON memory overall? Whether it's THON weekend, regular THON, anything.
Definitely THON weekend is always the best one. I'm trying to think. I feel like this past THON 2024 was the best one because I like knew most of the people with AGR and Phi Sig, and originally I wasn't paired with Phi Sig. I was with AGR and Tri Sig. Such a great group of girls too, and then they I guess broke up, and then AGR went with Phi Sig, and I love them all. Phi Sig accepted me even though I already knew AGR, and the boys and the girls of like both sororities are such amazing people.
That's incredible.
So I still see some of the Tri-State girls, so I still talk to them and whatnot, so love them all.
Oh, that's amazing. And then obviously I know you're a huge Swiftie because I am too.
Yes.
And then what era would you say you are currently in?
So my favorite album ever is Speak Now. Speak Now TV was actually released a couple days after I got out of the hospital, so it was also such a special moment. Yeah, it's one of the best, but I do love the upbeat of 1989 and Rep. Such great songs, such great running songs too on Rep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oh,
I love it.
Definitely. That's awesome. Yeah. And then thank you again so much for taking the time out of your day to come on THONcast. We were so happy to have you today.
Of course. I love yapping, so.
Oh, same here. Thank you again.
Of course.
Thank you, Keira, for sharing more about yourself and your experiences. It was truly an honor to have you on today. Next, we want to highlight 4Diamond specialty care providers who support 4Diamond's families physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. There are over 30 specialty care providers that 4Diamonds has, all with various different jobs that impact children and families impacted by childhood cancer.
Some of the specialty care providers that 4Diamonds has are child life specialists, clinical nutritionists, music and art therapists, clinical psychologists, and more. One that we want to highlight today are our 4Diamond social workers. These social workers support the children and families from diagnosis to treatment and then through survivorship. They help families address some of the more practical concerns like finances, employment concerns, school needs, healthy coping, transportation, and more.
To tell us more about what it entails to be a 4Diamond social worker, we are excited to introduce Sara Merrill, the lead social worker at Penn State Health Children's Hospital.
Sara, welcome to the THONcast, and we want to start off with you giving a little introduction on yourself. Yeah, my name is Sara Merrill. I am one of the Four Diamond social workers. I am one of four. We have three of us who work with our active treatment patients, and then we have a social worker dedicated to our long term follow up or survivorship program that we have here at Penn State Health. So, part of what I do in kind of that active treatment role is get to meet the patients and families at the time of diagnosis and then follow them through until they are kind of ready to graduate to survivorship. Yeah, that's my role as a Four Diamond social worker.
That's awesome. And one of our questions is kind of like, what is it like being a social worker at Penn State Health Children's Hospital?
It's amazing. I mean, I feel like I was really fortunate to be able to work in the children's hospital. It's kind of a hot commodity as a social worker, especially if you want to work with peds. So I started in kind of the pediatric acute care and was doing that for about a year and a half. And then there was an opening to come over and start working with Four Diamonds, which was something that being part of living in Pennsylvania and living somewhat near to State College and Penn State, I knew a lot about THON and Four Diamonds in the Children's Hospital. So I started out as a social worker with the long-term follow-up survivorship clinic. And then in 2002, I want to say it's been 2 years now, I was able to move on over to the active treatment role, which was because our dear friend and colleague, Greg Bayaki, finally retired after over 35 years. And so I had this like amazing experience of sharing an office with him and kind of learning about the role even before I became that social worker. So kind of got that right-handed experience from him during that time as well.
That's amazing. And what is one of your favorite parts of being within Four Diamonds and working directly with Four Diamonds?
I mean, I think it's to be said that we are really fortunate to have THON and Four Diamonds. As a social worker and doing work in other roles, resources are hard to come by for our families that really are needing a lot of psychosocial support. And Four Diamonds has allowed us to just do amazing things for our patients and families. So as a social worker, to be able to say to families, I can help with that. I know we have funds that can help you with food insecurities. We can help you with, mortgage or rent payments. We can help you to make sure you have no medical debt. I mean, to have that as a resource is just phenomenal as a social worker.
That's honestly incredible. And kind of going all the way back, what kind of led you to the career path of becoming a social worker?
Yeah. I started out in undergraduate school as a pre-physician assistant student. I knew that I loved working with kids and I knew that I loved the medical field. So I kind of thought I'd get into pediatrics in one way or another. It was the summer before my senior year. I did my first internship, and at the clinic that I was working at, it was a children's clinic back home for me. There was a kid who had come in and he was under the care of Children and Youth Services, and they had picked him up from his home that day. Horrible infection in his throat and just was not getting better, had been sick for a long time. And when they did the lab work, it was pretty evident at that point that it was likely that he had leukemia. And so from that clinic, he was going to have to go to Penn State Health. He was going to have to go to Hershey and was going to be transferred there that day. And it was that day that I kind of asked more questions of what happens next, right? From a medical perspective, what you can do as a physician assistant is amazing. But I had more questions about the psychosocial background, right? Like, why was he in the care of CYS? What was going to happen next? Who was going to be his support system? And I then talked to my advisor at the beginning of my senior year and said, I'm starting to have questions about if this is the role I want to play in the medical field. My parents were thrilled. I always say I changed my major my senior year of undergraduate school. But luckily for me, with social work, you don't necessarily have to get your undergraduate degree in social work. You can go on to get your master's as long as you have all the other requirements. So that's what I pursued. I graduated that year and then went on to get my master's in social work. And yeah, it's been kind of a full circle moment for me then to end up back here at Penn State Health and with Four Diamonds.
Honestly, that's an incredible story to really hear, like, how that shaped you into what you want to do now, and just hearing about like the long path that like how literally it's full circle now that all that experience comes back to Penn State Health now. And it's just incredible to hear.
Yeah,
Really
thank you.
Oh. And then this is more of a fun one, but what is the day in your life of your job typically like? I know it could be a little chaotic sometimes, as a day in the life is not really specific, but maybe some things that you do on a daily basis that some people wouldn't typically see.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are fortunate enough as Four Diamond social workers because of the funding to have 3 active treatment social workers. So we get to follow our patients both inpatient care to outpatient care. So they, at the time of diagnosis, get their social worker, and we follow them throughout the entire course of their treatment. So often I try to start with, checking in on the patients that are within our inpatient unit, wanting to make sure that there's nothing they need, providing a lot of emotional support. A lot of our patients and families are here sometimes for a really long time. If our kids even come in with a fever and neutropenia, they might be here for a couple of weeks. That was completely unexpected. And so wanting to make sure that A, emotionally they're doing okay, but B, logistically, how are you eating? Are you getting back home to see your other children? Do you need anything for school or work? Things like that. And then I often will stop down to the clinic and just check in with, the kids that are there every day, that are my patients. We do, as social workers, split up our clinic days. So my days tend to be more busier on certain days, like Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I might spend a little bit more time down there on those days. But that is really, I think that interaction with our pediatric patients and their families is really what gives you the passion for this work, right? I've had many stories of just working with kids and their families that I always say, oh man, that kid brings joy, right? They just bring you the sense of joy and happiness despite what they're going through, right? I mean, it's kind of remarkable to see the resilience of these kids, and it really gives you kind of a sense of honor to do this work.
That's honestly incredible. And kind of going back, like looking at all your experiences with the children and families, or even within like with Four Diamonds and THON, maybe what's a memory that really sticks out to you that is one of your favorite that since you've been within your position?
Yeah. I have a memory that I've shared a couple times when I've done some of our THON tours and things in the last year. It was a patient who unfortunately had pretty severe autism, was verbal, but his parents did a beautiful job of kind of knowing when he was saying things, what he meant, and kind of what his mood was that day. And so I knew building a rapport with this patient was maybe going to be a little tricky, right? Taking cues from his parents as far as what would be helpful was amazing. And I just remember coming in to visit, and they were in the infusion clinic. And although he couldn't really communicate with me verbally, he was on his iPad and he was watching this video that he would kind of watch on repeat. And then I came and was standing next to him and asking his parents, how's he doing? How are you guys? And he took my hand and he brought it over to his screen, and he was pointing to the things he was looking at and naming the characters on the iPad. And I just remember thinking how awesome that was in that moment of just, even though I couldn't verbally talk to him and check in with him, this feeling of like, he's accepted me in this room. He's allowed me in this space. And now he's kind of like in his own way communicating with me and allowing me to get to know him. I think that's always what kind of brings such a sense of honor, right? Is that during such a difficult time, a vulnerable time in these patient and families' lives, that they let you in and they share so much with you. And so that's really, that story, I feel like, really emphasizes that.
That's awesome. And really to just like see the connection that you can make with like the children and families, and also just the fact that like what you are doing just has that such profound impact on them. And like what you're doing is truly amazing. It's just amazing to hear how like they really appreciate it as well. And you could definitely tell that, especially through that story. That was an adorable story.
Yeah, yeah, I think about it all the time.
Oh, I love it. Well, I want to thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day to speak with us today and be on the THONcast. And thank you so much. We were really grateful to have you on today.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, for giving us further insights on what it's like to be a Four Diamonds social worker. We are very grateful for all that you do for our children and families impacted by childhood cancer. We want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the THONcast and hope that you gained further insight on the heart of our organization, our Four Diamonds families.
We also want to thank Keira and Sara again for taking the time to speak with us today. We are so grateful that we had you both on today. Be sure to tune into the next episode of the THONcast to learn more about the behind the scenes of THON. And as always, for the kids.